You think of yourself as a single human being. But biologically, you are something stranger and far more crowded, a walking, breathing ecosystem of trillions. Let's explore the hidden world living inside your gut. Inside your gut lives a vast community of bacteria, archaea, and other microbes known together as the gut microbiota. This isn't a recent arrival. It has co-evolved with our species over thousands of years, forming a relationship so intertwined that scientists no longer see us as separate from it. Before we meet the microbes, we have to grasp just how enormous this hidden world really is. The numbers are genuinely hard to believe. Your gut is one of the largest surfaces where your body meets the outside world. Unfolded flat, it covers up to 400 square meters, roughly the size of a tennis court. Across a lifetime, about 60 tons of food will pass through it. Living on that vast surface are more than 100 trillion microorganisms. That's a 1 followed by 14 zeros, a population dramatically larger than every human who has ever lived, all packed inside a single person. For years, textbooks claimed microbes outnumbered your own cells 10 to 1. A careful recount revised that down to roughly 1 to 1. But here's the figure that didn't shrink. Collectively, these microbes carry over 100 times more genes than your entire human genome. This is why we are called a superorganism. This community is not a random mob. It's a structured society dominated by a few great ruling families. Researchers have cataloged over 2,000 microbial species spread across 12 major phyla. And yet almost the entire population, 93.5%, belongs to just 4 of those families. A small handful of lineages effectively run the whole show. Here's the clever part. 2 healthy people can host almost completely different species, yet their microbiotas perform the very same jobs. This overlap is called functional redundancy, and it's what makes the ecosystem so resilient. Different members, same essential work. We simply could not study this world until technology finally let us see the unseeable. For a century, we could only study microbes we managed to grow in a dish, a tiny biased fraction. Then came genetic sequencing. First, we read a single signature gene called 16S, present in all bacteria. Then, metagenomics let us read every gene in the community at once. Sequencing exposed just how blind we had been. In one early study, 76% of the microbes found in a single human sample belonged to species that no scientist had ever described. We had been missing the overwhelming majority of life inside us. Your microbiota is not fixed at birth. It's a story, one that begins on day 1 and keeps rewriting itself as you age. At birth, your sterile gut is rapidly colonized by microbes from the world around you. And how you are born matters enormously. Babies delivered vaginally are immediately seeded with their mother's microbes. 72% of vaginally born infants share a gut community resembling their mother's. For babies born by C-section, that figure drops to just 41%, with a delayed and noticeably different set of microbes taking hold first. Over the first years of life, diversity climbs. By around 2.5 years old, a child's microbiota already resembles an adult's. It then stays fairly stable for decades, until old age when the balance begins to slip once more. In the elderly, diversity falls, especially in those in long-term care. The microbes produce fewer beneficial fatty acids and more inflammatory byproducts. Scientists suspect this shift feeds the slow, smoldering inflammation of aging, a process nicknamed inflammaging. The gut is not a single habitat. It's a whole landscape of dramatically different neighborhoods, each with its own residents. The small intestine is a harsh frontier, acidic, oxygen-rich, and fast-flowing, so only tough, quick-growing microbes can cling on. The colon is its mirror opposite, slow, oxygen-free, and teeming with a dense, diverse community that feasts on the fiber you couldn't digest. The gut wall is coated in mucus, arranged in 2 layers. The inner layer is a dense, near-sterile barrier that keeps microbes at arm's length. The outer layer is a bustling frontier town, a unique niche where bacteria settle, feed, and even farm the mucus itself. If one single force shapes your microbiota above all others, it is this: what you choose to put on your plate. Your microbes crave a particular fuel, Microbiota-Accessible Carbohydrates, the technical name for most dietary fiber. Feed them generously and they flourish. Starve them of fiber, and the entire community thins and frays. The evidence is global and striking. Children in rural Africa, eating a diet rich in fiber and plants, carry around 58% fiber-fermenting Bacteroides. In European children raised on a sugary Western diet, that proportion collapses to roughly 22%. It begins with the very first meal. Special sugars in human breast milk are designed to feed beneficial bifidobacteria, helping them outcompete potential troublemakers. formula supports a more varied, less predictable mix of microbes instead. Down at the microscopic level, the gut runs a bustling economy, and cooperation is its currency. Microbes don't just compete, they trade. One species breaks down fiber and releases a byproduct, which becomes the favorite food of a second species. This chain, called cross-feeding, lets a far richer community survive together than any one microbe could alone. Consider one celebrated resident, Akkermansia muciniphila, a specialist that grazes on the gut's mucus lining. In mice, boosting it prevents diet-induced obesity and calms inflammation, which is why researchers now study it as a potential therapy. So why keep this vast, hungry lodger? Because it pays extraordinary rent in ways your own body simply cannot. When microbes ferment your fiber, they release short-chain fatty acids, chiefly acetate, propionate, and butyrate, in a rough ratio of 1:1:3. These tiny molecules are absorbed straight into your body and quietly run an astonishing range of jobs. Butyrate is the standout. It is the primary fuel for the very cells lining your colon, a potent anti-inflammatory, and even helps regulate which genes those cells switch on. In a real sense, your gut wall is powered by your microbes. They are also a vitamin factory. Gut microbes synthesize vitamin B12, folate, vitamin K, and several B vitamins, essential nutrients that neither your cells, nor in some cases any plant or animal, can produce alone. And they stand guard. By strengthening the gut barrier, thickening protective mucus, and physically crowding out invaders for space and food, your resident microbes form a living shield against disease-causing pathogens. Perhaps their most profound role is invisible from the outside. They teach your immune system how to work. We know this from germ-free mice, raised in sterile bubbles with no microbes at all. Their immune systems never develop properly. They are missing entire populations of immune cells that healthy animals possess. And here is the astonishing part. Giving those mice a single molecule from just one gut bacterium can fully restore the missing immune cells. Your microbes don't merely live inside you, they help assemble the very defenses that keep you alive. If a healthy microbiota keeps us well, the obvious question is, what happens when that balance is lost? When this delicate community is thrown out of balance, a state called dysbiosis, its protective functions begin to fail. And the consequences, remarkably, ripple far beyond the gut itself. One of the most powerful disruptors is antibiotics. While they save lives, they also bluntly slash microbial diversity, can take a long time to recover from, and may clear the way for opportunistic pathogens to bloom in the empty gut. Dysbiosis has now been linked to a striking spread of conditions, from inflammatory bowel disease and obesity to type 2 diabetes and even neurodevelopmental and mood disorders. Whether it is cause or consequence, it clearly helps shape how disease unfolds. Here is the genuinely hopeful twist. An ecosystem we can damage is also one we can deliberately heal. Because diet shapes the microbiota so powerfully, we hold real levers. Feeding it fiber, adding beneficial strains as probiotics, or even transplanting whole healthy microbial communities are all emerging ways to rebuild a damaged inner garden. So remember what you are, a superorganism. The trillions inside you are not passengers but partners in your health, and every single meal rich in fiber is a quiet vote for which of them get to thrive. Everything in this explainer is drawn from the Open Access Review by Thursby and Juge, published in the Biochemical Journal in 2017. Understand your inner ecosystem, and you understand a hidden half of your own health. Thanks for watching.